Okay, welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you,
You're the
Jean.
second person we're interviewing, and we're really on a nice roll. Got a nice project going, and I'm so glad you're participating. So first, what is your name, and where do you live in the San Geronimo Valley?
My name is Dorothy Cox, and I live in Woodacre on Redwood Drive. It's a place that my father built a house. My father, Adolph Gasser, we lived in San Francisco, and there were many just summer-only people that came because the fog was so great and so cold where we lived in San Francisco in the Sunset District that we were sick all the time. So my parents decided to find a place in the valley here. I'm not sure why they chose here, but I think it was open, you know. And it was warm and sunny, and my dad, in 2 years, he built a house for us to live in.
In Woodacre?
In Woodacre, right. And we had a wonderful time during that 2 years period of building the house to do lots of swimming.
What year, roughly, what year would he have built that, do you think?
Well, he laid the foundation in 49.
49.
So, yeah,
Whoa.
1949. And I think we probably first came out in 1947 or 46. I'm trying to figure it out. And when we went through San Geronimo Drive, which was the highway then,
right,
and we went through all those beautiful redwoods, it was like home. We're home.
Yes, yes, yes.
It just lovely. So every time
I'll interrupt just for a moment to say San Geronimo Drive did not come through the golf course. There wasn't a golf course then. It went to Woodacre, wound around the base of the hill, and then over to San Geronimo, and then back up, and then on to West Marin. Anyway, I wanted to mention that. Go ahead.
Right. So we did a lot of swimming at the Woodacre Improvement Club.
Oh.
The Meier house was still up at that time.
Oh.
And they would have, I think, a 4th of July festival, which we really enjoyed.
What did they do at the festival?
Just
gathering together?
It was a gathering, a community gathering,
you
know, and lots of good food. And one story was that there was a thunderstorm the day before the gathering, and this lady was preparing chili. Well, the beans went sour, and the whole smell filled the Meier house. And everybody was like, oh, gagging on 4th of July.
They never forgot that one.
Yeah, but had a wonderful time here as a just summer resident. And then we moved in. My mom was really a city girl. And so, and they planned the house really well. And so it was something we could live in always. But she got really lonely and cold in the winter and really lonely. And after 2.5 years, we ended up going back to San Francisco.
Oh, and you rented out the house.
And then we rented out the house for over 50 years.
Oh.
But my father would never sell it, fortunately. So, and then I ended up coming back, let's see, in 2009 we came back and fixed up the house.
Oh.
And we didn't want to sell it, so I ended up inheriting it with my daughter. And in 2010, I came back.
And moved in?
And moved in, yeah, I inherited it from my dad.
In 2010, okay. And you've lived there ever since?
Right, right.
Oh, okay. Yes. Is family living with you?
No, I have a tenant who you just interviewed.
Right, Scott.
Right, and he's been wonderful.
Tenant.
He's been wonderful because he's really helped me keep. I couldn't manage a place like that by myself. The property and the whole thing.
Yeah, he's skilled. He's
very skilled.
Yeah.
And my daughter lives. One daughter lives in Fairfax. The other daughter lives in Berkeley, and my son lives further away, but I do have family very close.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when I wanted to say when I came back, I was teaching math to electrical students. There wasn't any in Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
There's a 2-year program in a community college.
In math.
There wasn't anything like that here.
Oh.
So I have to thank Susan Sadowski. They had just started that senior program for really encouraging me, and I ended up taking the information that I had used for these electrical students, and I put it into a workbook. So I want to acknowledge the creativity of this valley. I don't think I ever would have thought to do that anywhere else. I build the books myself. I found an artist to help me. Another friend helped me with an algebra book. And I just found a great deal of creativity here when I returned. That as a kid, I didn't really notice. I was just like having a good time. So, and I walked through the tunnel before it fell.
You did?
Yes. And I told my student about that. Yeah.
Before they closed it up?
Before it fell.
I
figured about 2 years before. I was about 14.
Ah.
I led some friend's son, and we walked all the way through it and all the way back. And I was shocked to find out.
Not many people can say they walked through the tunnel, Paul.
Yeah.
That Woodacre-Fairfax tunnel. They cannot say that.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
So I had that opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And then come back and see it was what happened to it. I kind of didn't follow the history.
Yeah.
So when I came back, there's a big gap.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, that's a very nice story. Well, I guess is there anything you'd like to add?
I've been praying for rain, and now we're getting it.
What do you like about the valley?
Oh, well, I have a great church. The Presbyterian Church here.
Yes.
They have so many social services that are really helpful. The food distribution.
They're excellent.
And then, of course, the community center has been. I love the senior group. COVID was devastating to break that up.
Yeah.
And we had a reunion not long ago, and just to know people were still alive.
Yes.
Was wonderful.
Right. Yeah. That. When I went to that coffee, I think it was Friday, 11 o'clock, and 30 of you came. 20, I counted 26
Well, that's
women
where we met you, yeah.
and 4 men. And that's when I announced that we wanted to do this. And I'm so glad that we decided to do that. I talked to some people when making appointments, and they're looking forward to talking about a little bit about what brought them to the valley or whatever they'd like to add. So this is just a major contribution.
Well, thank you, Jane.
We go back a long way.
Yes.
And we have stories to tell.
I found out there's a lot of amazing stories.
Oh, yes.
And when you get to be old and wrinkled, people don't necessarily realize all the amazing things you've done. I lived in Nova Scotia, had a 100-acre farm.
Yeah.
Plowed with oxen. I mean, that's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
That was in my younger days.
Yeah.
But and talking to people, incredible types of people, I should say, come to this valley.
Yeah.
They're drawn here for, I'm sure, some purpose.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah.
And I love your buildings. I love what you've done with this. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Well, Dorothy, it's a real treat. And Paul, I think I heard Nova Scotia had a farm back in Nova Scotia.
That's correct.
I mean, there's a whole other story there, Paul. We're going to have after this, maybe we'll get a new project. What did you do in X before you came to the valley, and not why they came to there's a whole bunch of things we can think about.
I think the people that did the things in their youth were often the most wild and crazy, and
you're right. Yeah.
That was in my youth.
Yeah.
But and I taught in a one-room school, and that's why I just said I got to be a teacher. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And my daughters brought me back there 50 years almost 60 years. We went back because one of them was born in Nova Scotia, and they brought me back 2 years ago before COVID, thank heavens.
Thank goodness.
Maybe 2.5 years, 3 years ago. Oh dear, how time flies.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was wonderful to see people that had had such an influence on my life.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
and me on there.
Paul, that reminds me, I love hearing that part of the story because you and I took my mother back to where she was born
Oh, where was
in
that,
Yugoslavia.
Gene? Oh,
and
my
meeting all the
gosh.
relatives.
Yes.
And I know exactly it, memorable, absolutely memorable. And to stand there with that, all of my relatives, and seeing the family, that's what hit me. Seeing the family resemblance, I really looked like my relatives. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe
awesome.
it. So that was a joyful. So that's wonderful. So I'm so glad you came and
next time,
listened to your story.
If I had any German Easter eggs, I would have brought one, but they're all distributed. So
I gotcha.
you know how that is. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this interview.
Me too.
Thank
Thanks
you,
so
Gene.
much. Thanks.